Good morning, everybody. I came to Town Hall this morning, Wednesday, May the 15th, while we're taping this month's session, and I saw a very strange yellow ball in the sky. It's the first time I'd seen it for 6 weeks. Anyway, it's a wonderful spring day. We have a terrific program for you this morning. I'll introduce the folks at the head table, and then so you know who's here and anticipate what we're going to talk about, and then turn it over to Angela. So Jace Tilton, who's representing the Friends of the Council on Aging, is here with us. Angela Smith is going to take over in a moment. Lana Zamaro, who is just back from a respite in Canada visiting friends and is on our household recycling committee here in town. And our guest speaker, Julia Green, who's works for the Mass Department of Environmental Protection as a coordinator for our district, and Debbie Farrell, who is our wonderful, undaunted transportation director, who I think has to scat and do some driving in a few moments. But anyway, Angela, would you like to start?
I would. Thank you so much, Carrie, for joining us today and hosting. I just want to welcome everyone and thank them very much for joining us and welcome them to the COA and hope that they will join us on upcoming events. And I know that Debbie has to leave shortly, so we're going to turn right over to transportation and let her tell us what's going on for some upcoming trips and what she can do to help any of you who are transportation challenged.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Carrie. Nice to see everybody. We do have some great trips coming up. We're going to start with a restaurant review trip called the Emerald Rose Irish Pub on June 3rd. It's a great little place in Billerica, and if anybody is interested, we'd like you to call the COA and register by May 28th. We will be taking the van, and the number to call again is 978-371-6690. We do have 2 forthcoming trips that are very popular. We're going to be doing a day to Newburyport on Tuesday, June 11th, and that's always been a popular trip for everybody. So if you'd like to join us, we're going to be strolling through Newburyport, going to the shops, enjoying a great little bite at some terrific little restaurant in the town. And the van's going to leave around 9:30 on that day. So again, give us a call at the COA if you'd like to register. Please let us know by June 4th if you would. And then in July, on the 9th, we're going to be returning to Marblehead, to the landing, to the historic Marblehead harbor area. And that, again, is another popular location for us. So if you would give us a call and let us know if you'd like to come, the van that day is probably going to leave around 10:15. So you should probably give us a call by about the 2nd of July on that day. We have some other trips that are coming up, but we haven't quite solidified them as yet. Once they are, we'll get the word out to everybody. A reminder, we always have every Friday the group going to the Market Basket for some shopping. And if you'd like to join the group that goes on Fridays, we go to the Market Basket in Westford. And just give me a call by Thursday on noon if you'd like to go. We do have a limit on that, so we do want people to call us by Thursday if they can. And then we just have some reminders about alternative transportation. As you all know, we have CTS, which is through Flow Transportation, and if you need a ride, to give them a call at 978-602-5606 as far in advance as you can. And you would give them the same information you would give me, basically the date, the time, where you're going, so on. This is our voucher program. So you can purchase vouchers to get discounted rides on this, with this particular vendor. And you can call me for details. And again, that would be the 978-371-6699, excuse me, 6690 number. The other reminder I'd like to give you all is that we have the Lyft program. And that is generally, if you have a smartphone, you could download the Lyft app to the smartphone and set up an account on that phone. And then you would call the Council on Aging, and we would take your information and forward it on to Lyft to get the discount. This is all through a grant we have going on right now, and we have to send your information to them as an account set up to get the discount. Basically, for an example, let's say you were going to Concord and you had an account set up for the discount program. You would pay the first $2 on the ride to Concord. We would cover the next $10 of that ride. Now, that, depending on what the cost is, it could be you're only paying $2, or you might have $1 or $2 extra beyond that. This program offers 4 discounted rides a month. But we send to Lyft twice a month the name. So you download the app, you put it on your phone, you set up the payment, the whole account on your phone. You give us your phone number, your email address, your name. We forward it to Lyft twice a month. Then they'll come back to us and say, okay, they're set up as an account. We let you know, and you're good to go. And again, you just give us a call at the COA, and we can walk you through the process.
Debbie, why would somebody call you versus Lyft or Flow? What kind of rides would people use them for?
For Lyft, you mean?
Or Flow?
Generally, after hours. We are limited to the hours in which we function during the week. We're only here Monday through Fridays. We have some summer hours, but generally we're only available for transportation 8:30 to 4:30 through the week. And so anything that would be after hours that we cannot operate, Lyft generally is almost like a 24/7 operation. Flow, they're not quite a 24/7 operation, but they have more flexible hours than we can offer.
And how far do we normally go?
Well, within 30 to 50-mile radius. I take about 30 miles. We do not go into Boston. We don't go to Cambridge. But we will, on occasion, go to something like Waltham. We do go to Burlington and a lot of the neighboring towns around here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's pretty much all I have. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay,
And
thank you. So we're thrilled to have Lana and Julia with us because recycling has been very active in Carlisle and a very big discussion of late, especially. And I think we all very much want to see the town do better in terms of what we are able to do in terms of recycling and in reducing our footprint. And so the more we learn and the more we can educate others, the better for all of us. And so with that, I'll ask Abba or Sam to shut the lights so we can turn over to Julia. Thank you.
You know, I find it very interesting, Julia, that in this town, you cover a lot of towns in the district. Everyone, I'm sure, is different in terms of what they've already implemented and what they're planning to implement. And we're no different. We have a lot of plans. We've begun a long journey in that direction of being better in terms of what we do. But one thing I've found, no matter what the issue is, at town meeting or otherwise, if something makes sense, the people usually embrace it. And it's not an issue of doing it for global reasons or other reasons, but does it make sense? Does it make sense? Is this the right thing to do? And they typically do embrace that. And so I think to the extent that education is important in this process, I think appealing to that notion of what makes sense is important. The other thing is that we all have habits that are hard to break. And some of them have to be broken and reestablished in another direction in order to be more effective in this area of household waste disposal. So I think those are kind of two things that if you could help us understand what you found works, best practices in other places, and share those with us, that would be great.
Okay, yeah. So I think I'll start off just with a global view. What's happened in the United States, worldwide really, in the past 2 years is that China, where most of our recycling went to be processed directly there, China has stopped taking our recycling. And one of the reasons, and not just ours, they've stopped taking Europe's, they've pretty much stopped taking the world's.
And that's been for over a year now.
Yes, for over a year. Mm-hmm. And that just put everything into havoc, disrupted all of the markets, et cetera, needing to find new markets to send recyclables to, et cetera. And at the same time, what China had been complaining about was contamination, was that the recycling was contaminated. Contamination can mean it was dirty. There's food waste in there, there's water. When you mix everything together, the paper gets all moldy, et cetera. It's no good by the time it reaches China. And then the other contamination is like things that don't belong in there. And there's a lot of what we call now wish cycling, where people just want to think that it's recyclable, but in fact it's not. And there hasn't been any real education about what is and isn't recyclable. The other piece is that recycling is changing all the time. Sometimes something's recyclable, then probably for a market reason, most likely, it's no longer recyclable. Or maybe it was never recyclable. Again, everybody was throwing it in there thinking it was recyclable. So in the middle of this big problem starting about a year and a half ago, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protections sat down with all of what we call materials recovery facilities. They're called MRFs. But that's where our recycling goes to get processed. And they said, let's figure this out as to what's really recyclable. We're going to create a website, and we're going to create what we call a recyclopedia. And we're going to make it accessible for everybody in Massachusetts so that everybody can go up to this recyclopedia and they can figure out what is recyclable and not recyclable. And if things change, then it's there. So we're trying to get away from a list that people might have up on their refrigerator for the last 5 years. It's no longer relevant. So these are the types of things we're trying to do and drive everybody to this new website. I think the chair's in front of it, but recyclesmartma.org. So that's really what I'm here to talk about, is how to use it and get new habits. Like you said, it's a habit for us, which is great. We have the habit of recycling. Now let's just clean it up so that we do it correctly. So.
Well, I mean, the list of recyclables is a rather short list.
Well, actually, it's not. If you recycle, you'll see that it's more the packaging that's left over. There's a few things that don't belong in the recycling, but truly, if you're recycling at home and you did a whole big study of it, you would see that 75 to 80% of the products that you bring back from the supermarket that you use on a regular basis are recyclable. There are things that aren't, and that's what we want to do, is clear up the confusion. So I don't know.
I remember going to the website. It's plastic bottles,
Yeah.
Cans,
Yes.
cardboard, and paper. It was like, those are the big four, right?
Right. But, and that's basically a lot of what we bring back from the supermarket, too. So now I'm going to go to the website. It's called recyclesmartma.org. And the recyclopedia is right at the top of the page here. Is there anything you want to start off with? Let's have some fun and start looking things up. If I just put in there right now, how about if I put in margarine, right? See if it comes up with that, if I can spell it. Maybe not. I think it starts with a, oh.
No, you,
Huh. Why is
MAR.
All right, let me see. Let me do egg carton. Is it coming up?
Yep.
No internet. So let's see, how do I open it again? Connect. Huh, it must have had it connected open. All right, great. I think I'm connected now. Sorry about that. Must have lost my connection.
Well, I do know that foam is one of them, because there's a big sign down at the transfer station that started about a year ago. No foam, right?
no styrofoam.
I'm afraid to hit yes. Okay, here it is. Let's do foam. So here's foam, and a drop-down list gives a lot of different things. There's foam rubber, foam cup, foam containers. I'm going to say they're all not recyclable. But let's go to that egg carton, because I like to do that. So what pops up is it shows me that the styrofoam egg carton is not recyclable. Put it in the trash, right?
Even though they might say it is, right?
Yes, a lot of times
On the
they say it
package.
is, yeah. It's very frustrating, that's why you really need to use this. Now, there's a couple of different types of egg cartons, right? So here's a paper one. That one is recyclable, right? How about, this surprised me because, you know, I work for Mass DP, so I think I know everything, but I don't. So when I looked up egg carton plastic, I thought it was trash, but it's actually recyclable.
Because it's the right kind of.
It's the right type of plastic, you
Are
know.
there certain numbers?
We're trying to get away from numbers, you know, so we're not talking about numbers at all. One of the things we say is, like, for plastics, think about it being bottles, tubs, jars, you know, these containers, all of these containers that you get from the supermarket. So let's go to, what else would you like?
Well, Julia, question about plastic, black plastic.
Yeah, so if I do takeout container, so black plastic, see this? I scroll down, there's black plastic takeout trays, right? Put this item in your trash bin. Rinse and recycle the clear plastic lid. So I brought one of these for show and tell because I got one yesterday. So this is recyclable, this is not. Now here's the crazy thing about our system, which is why we wanted to create the Recyclopedia. Why is this plastic, and it's a recyclable plastic, why isn't it recyclable? Because they haven't figured out in the processing plants how to get the optical scanners to see this. They don't see plastic. So it's a technology problem. So a lot is automated in the processing plants, and so they miss this, you know?
Can you talk about number 5 plastic? Because a lot of the black containers are.
Yeah, so a lot of the black containers are number 5 plastic. So if you're a really super recycler, you can take it to Whole Foods. And in the back of Whole Foods, or really in the front of the store, they have one that's called the Gimme 5 box. And that's the number 5s. So you can throw any number 5s in there. Typically, a yogurt container is a number 5 plastic, you know? But I don't want to talk about that so much now because that's for the super recyclers. I want to stick with people who really,
People like me.
people like you, Carrie. That's exactly, you're my perfect audience. Like, let's make it really easy for you. What's something that you recycle or don't on a regular basis?
We try to recycle everything, all those 4 items certainly.
Yeah.
Some of the things come, like if you buy a light bulb, it's wrapped in something that's mostly cardboard, but there's plastic as well.
Right.
And you think, well, it's cardboard and plastic. Certainly that ought to be recyclable.
Right.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would say, when in doubt, throw it out. That's another buzzword I want to give everybody. And we have the tendency to do the opposite, to wish cycle it, so I'm going to put it all in the recycle. When in doubt, throw it out. So the plastic that it comes into, is it a plastic sleeve, or what kind of plastic is it?
It's clear plastic.
Yeah,
It looks like a poly whatever.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it looks legitimate. But
Yeah.
I just don't know.
right. And I would say if it's in packaging, usually it's not recyclable, and to throw it out. But let's look up plastic containers, right?
So Julia, to go back to the number 5, there are clear plastic that's number 5.
Right, so I want you to try to get away from looking at the numbers when you're just in your kitchen and you've got your recycle bin there, and what you're gonna throw in. Clear goes in, black doesn't. And then if you wanna be a super recycler like me or Lana, you can save it and take it back to Whole Foods, you know. There aren't a lot of places, but you could. Or you can throw it in the trash. What we don't want is, we don't want it in the recycling. Why don't we want it in the recycling? Because it's gonna cost the town money too. because when it goes to the processing plant, that's considered contamination. So if they're going to have to pull it out of there, that's a larger percentage of what they don't want. And if it got too dirty, which I doubt it would be a big problem for Carlisle, but then some towns are assessed, additional fees because there's too much contamination. There's too much confusion with the residents,
How
so.
do they determine how much contamination is in it?
Percentage-wise, they don't want to see any more than 10%, and it's like they're trying to achieve 5%. So the Chinese said like a year ago they want 0.05, right? It's almost impossible. I think it would be impossible to achieve that, and they're not taking recycling now anyway. But the processors in this country, they want 5%. So where's the recycling going right now? Most of it's actually going to markets in the United States, except for mixed paper. But mixed paper plants are coming online again. So a lot of paper mills are now being reopened all over the United States as what they call brown paper mills. Before, they used to be white paper mills where they were making paper. Now they're doing a lot of cardboard and all the rest, and they're taking the mixed paper. And some of them are coming online, and it's going to take another 18 months before they're all online. So the good news is that, in 2 years, where everything is going, especially the paper markets, which are a big problem, will be domestic,
Yeah, I think that's one of the important things that gets lost on this. We talk about what we're doing at home, but all of this, it's like you wouldn't throw $1 bills away, would you? And yet,
Right.
not recycling is like throwing dollar bills away, because all of the processing downstream from our recycling efforts create jobs,
Yes.
create economic value, create other products that are built and made from recycled plastics and other.
Paper.
Yeah.
So for paper, what they really want, they want the pulp. So once it gets processed in the paper mill, then it's pulp, and then that gets used by manufacturers, So now, instead of shipping the primary product all the way to China or some other country, it will be done close to home, and then, the buyers will buy buy that pulp, which is what they're looking for, So here's one, cartons. What do you think about cartons? What do people think?
Recycle.
All right, so
We learned
here's the
that 2 years ago.
heartbreak. Here's the heartbreak.
Yeah, no more milk.
Yeah. So what it comes up with, it says, for most of Massachusetts, cartons should go in the trash. However, some communities in Western Mass do recycle them. If your municipality is on the list, you can put cartons in your recycling bin. And this is the list. There's one materials recovery facility out in Western Mass that does take cartons. And so you can pull up the list and see if your town is in there. But I'm telling you, if you're east of Worcester, you're not on this list. So in Carlisle, we're gonna put it in the trash. So I took my carton here, and this is why, it's good to go back to the to the Recyclopedia. If this changes in the future, because cartons are recyclable in some markets, and they are good pulp, right? So if it changes in Massachusetts where it makes sense for these materials recovery facilities to start recycling them, then they will. What they were doing before is they were throwing them in mixed paper. Now we can't throw them in mixed paper. So what I'm saying is that things are going to change in the future, probably. We should be ready for change, and that way we won't be driving people crazy anymore with the list on the refrigerator. Just go to the Recyclopedia if you hear that things have changed. I'm sure, if there's a big change, we'll be working to get the information out there, and then you can go to the Recyclopedia and actually check it.
So if you go to your tomato carton, that's right there.
Oh, yeah, the tomato. Yeah, let's talk about these. So, all right. Let me even see if I say tomato. No. How about if I say fruit? Container. Deli and fruit containers. Let's see if they, all right, so I have one here too. So this is recyclable. Recycled clear plastic containers, only black plastic. This yellow can go too. It can see the yellow, it can't see the black.
What about, because a lot of the meat that you get in the supermarket have something other than black. It might be gray or blue.
Oh, well, I think maybe you're talking about actually a foam tray. Are you talking about a foam tray? Yeah, let's look up a foam tray.
They have,
Foamy styrofoam, well, foam.
some of the
meat trays.
supermarkets do have plastic ones.
If they're black, then I would put them in the trash.
Trash,
Yeah.
okay.
So here's another one, and I wish there was a picture here. I'm surprised that there's not. But those are the foam trays that you get under the chicken or meat. A lot with the chicken, you see them. And under fruit. A lot of times they're packaged in fruit, too. So those, it's foam, all foam goes in the trash. Here's a fun one, tin foil. How about tin foil?
Recyclable.
Aluminum foil. Yeah. It shows it rolled up in a ball. It needs to be cleaned, roll it up in the ball, put it in the recycle. They love metal because metal is worth money. You know, so just remember that. Here's my Chipotle cover, you know, from last week. So this is, they want this too. So recycle all of these. Just clean and dry, and they can be recycled.
How about coffee containers that are metal on the
Good
edge and cardboard?
Coffee can, maybe?
Well-
Canister, cardboard food canister. How's that?
Yeah.
All right, so it shows us a lot of different varieties, like the Pringles can. Yep, so those are trash. Those are trash. They're a mixed paper. They're mostly paper, but because they put the metal in and everything, so they're not recyclable.
How about
Tops.
Chinese?
The tops. How
Yeah.
about the tops on those oatmeal
Um,
posters?
The tops, yeah, the
plastic
covers.
tops.
I would say those can go in. So let's see, how about those K-cups?
Cupcake?
Cake, no, the
Yeah,
coffee.
cups.
You know, the
Keurig.
What happened here? What did I do? Did I get out of
Yeah,
it?
I don't-
They are by Keurig. If you package them up, you can send them for free. I don't use them, but some
Wow.
people do.
I know, I think it's
It was
a,
under
We
Keurig.
just had it.
yeah.
CUER. or
It's K, right? There it is. Okay. All right, let's see, Keurig cup. Put this in the trash. Why? It's small. It's too small to go, it's made out of the right plastic. It's too tiny to go through the system. It drops through the screens, you know, so really tiny stuff, you know, like, for instance, this plastic cap, right? Trash. It's too small. However, if this plastic cap is on a plastic
Bottle
bottle,
of milk.
put the cap back on, put it all in. It'll stay together.
How
you know.
about Chinese food containers?
Chinese, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. It was like on my wish list.
The wish cycle.
Well, plastic single serve, which one? Takeout container paper?
Yeah, take
No,
that.
well, they're paper, but they're, yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
Trash. Yeah, those are trash.
Even if they're clean.
Yes, even if they're clean.
Some doggy boxes are now they claim that they're recyclable.
Oh, really? What do you mean by
Yeah.
that, doggy boxes?
Well, it's made, it looks like cardboard
Take home.
for take-home, you know, when you're at the restaurant, when you want to take your veal parmigiana.
Huh.
And it looks like cardboard, but they say this is now totally recyclable, they tell you. and they're
Well-
very proud, but-
It's compostable, right?
Compostable, yeah.
So, let's
Yeah.
just look at compostable.
so that means we could put that in our,
So there's this whole list here, right? Pizza
that's
box.
good to
Let's do the pizza box, because that's compostable, too.
that's a good to
Yeah,
know.
there you go.
Yeah, so,
Keep the extra slices out, but
Yeah, I always
put the
recycle my
empty
pizza
box in.
boxes.
They're
Yeah.
paper. Yeah,
They're
Yeah,
saying
with-
grease is okay?
yeah, grease is okay, you know, and I was really shocked about that. Was another shocking one from, and I went to this conference, and the people were there from the paper mills, and they kept joking about it. We don't want the pizza We don't want the little table in the middle. We don't want the wax paper. We just want the box, and we'll take the grease. So they
You know,
said they'll take the
Interesting.
grease.
Julia, as I've been thinking about this before the show, the habit, I guess, that I'd like to break is having everything in plastic bags when I bring it home from the supermarket.
Right.
My kids all have these tote bags, and I know a lot of seniors out there. I know a lot of you have tote bags, and I think when I see the number of plastic bags that we take away from Tamula's, it's just
Well,
Right.
Westford has gone to paper.
Yeah, well,
okay, yeah.
that's outside of this show, really, but like what's
all
been
clog the
happening.
facilities,
What's been
don't they?
happening is plastic bag bans all over the state. So now I think it's up to like 109 towns, cities and towns have banned plastic bags.
But you don't want them in your recyclable.
We don't want them in the recycling, but you can recycle them. That's the frustrating thing. So I took for my show and tell the recycle symbol from the Boston Globe bag from the drop-off of the paper. So they're saying it's recyclable, but some of them will say, take this back to your store, you know? And so here's another bag that you can take back to a store and recycle it there. Pulling this one out because this is a Prime. You know, you get these from Amazon now. You get a lot of them. You can recycle those at the store. In fact, it says right on the bag, remove paper label before recycling, but store drop-off plastic, you know, bag. So they're very clear as to where you can recycle it. So you can, what I do is I just have a bag that I stuff, and when it gets full, and I remember it, a lot of times I'm driving around in my car for weeks, but then I finally remember to bring it in when I go in to the supermarket, you know, and almost every supermarket in the state, I haven't found one that doesn't have it, which is they have like a corrugated plastic box that you can put the bags in. And they do recycle them and make them into products. The problem is the automation at the processing plants. They get caught in the machinery. So that's why the number one reason they do not want any bags in the recycle programs that go to the materials recovery facilities.
What about a black plastic bag?
Black plastic bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not going to be a scanner that's looking at it. And what they do with all of these things, back to your point about, you know, it isn't trash. These are commodities, right? And they do get sold, and they do get processed into new things. So they'll take these, they'll bag all the plastic bags, and then they'll sell bales of plastic bags to companies that manufacture plastic, you know. Or they make them into kind of a primary product, which is these really tiny plastic beads almost, you know, round beads, and then those get sold as the primary product to make plastics.
Well, I know one company that makes those beads, and they end up as plastic paint cans.
Yeah.
They're totally sealable. They don't create, you know, any skim on top of the paint when you close it because it's
Right, almost all the
terrific.
paint cans now are made out of those,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're using them for road surfaces too.
Right. Yeah, and they're using glass for fill in roads now as well. So there's, you know, different products that are made out of everything that goes into that recycle bin.
Well, Lorna, as I recall from previously talking with you, we do a reasonably good job of recycling in Carlisle. Is that true?
We actually do an extremely good job of recycling in Carlisle, which doesn't mean we couldn't up our game a little bit, because I know I was very stunned by some of what I found on Recyclopedia. The heartbreak for me was the milk cartons, because at school
That's a surprise to me.
Well, and I think the message is, and that's why this is a really good resource. It's excellent. First of all, it changes real time. It's very difficult if you're not online and through like our household recycling committee to communicate every time there's a change. So this is the best, most updated resource that you can go to on what is recyclable. But we managed to get the milk cartons into a recycling bin at the school, and it really is a huge amount of volume, if you can imagine. And that was pushed originally by the container carton
Council. Yeah.
and because it's excellent. And as you saw, some MRFs will take it, some will not. Our MRF will not. So it's a question of the changing market, and hopefully eventually they'll be back online. So I think also the hard lesson is that even though it says recyclable and can be recycled under certain circumstances, that doesn't mean that it'll be accepted in a recycling facility. So the best that we could do in Carlisle that I think would be a real sort of just up it a little bit further, even though it's still very, at this point, high, is to make sure that we look at this reference, this resource, and follow the guidelines there. And, what is it? Throw it or throw it out?
When in doubt,
when in doubt, throw it out. That's a good mantra.
Well, things are changing. New products. I know my 3-year-old granddaughters drink a lot of coconut milk. That comes in a whole different kind of a container.
Tetra Pak.
Again, so
and there are
this
ways
is great to have this resource.
Right,
Yeah.
and Tetra Pak is a whole different class of product, but there are, well, I'm worried about super recycler versus, just the masses out there. But bottom line, the Keurig containers, Keurig will give you a mail-in bag. If you use Keurig, you can just put them all in this bag. You can mail it in for free. They will take them for recycling if you want to go that step. Same thing with Tetra Pak. There is an organization, a business called TerraCycle, and they have a whole program for schools, for residences, for commercial that accept that kind of container.
What one new habit would you like each of us to adopt?
Well, that's great because we can segue into our next slide. I do have one slide, and it's this one. So every 10 years, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, how do I get out of that slide there? Let me just see, it's not showing me, I want this one. No, I don't want to see notes. Well.
There you go. Isn't that it?
Oh, good. I'm seeing something different. Great. I wasn't looking up. All right, so every 10 years or so, they do what's called a waste characterization study to get ready for doing a new master plan for waste reduction in the state. So what this shows is the 2016 waste characterization study of what's still in our trash. So what we can see is that paper still is 22% of what's in the trash. Plastic is 13%, metal is 4%, glass is 2%, organics is 31%.
Explain organics.
Organics is anything that will be compostable.
It might be nice to have a compostable area down at the Wouldn't that be a good idea?
So what's great about compostables is that, like, if you, it's food waste, it's napkins, it's paper towels that don't have any chemicals on them. I want to say that. It's the Chipotle plate that's under this tray. That's a compostable, So a lot of the takeout places are starting to have compostable materials too. So all of that you could throw into an organics collection, and then that will be made into earth, basically.
The majority of paper towels and napkins do have chemicals in them, don't they?
Not, yeah, no, it might be used, chemicals might have been used to process them, but no, they're fine in the compost.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they're fine in the compost. So to finish this pie here is that 15% is construction and demolition. So Massachusetts has waste bans. That's why we recycle. We're saying we don't want recyclables in the trash. We also don't want construction and demolition materials in the trash. We want them to be processed, to pull what they can, recycle, and we do it all over Massachusetts. The next one is 4% still of household hazardous waste. We want people to go to household hazardous waste days and drop off those chemicals. Don't put them in the toilet or the sink, and please don't put them in your trash either. And then 1% electronics and 8% other. Now, when we look at paper, some of that paper is probably recyclable, but didn't end up in the recycling cart, right? Or in your container. And some of it is contaminated with food and all the rest. It's still trash, right? And some of the plastic is the same. It might be plastic wrap, it might be foam, it's plastic. It's still in that. I'm sure we could get that down some more and divert it. And there's metal, there's glass, always looking at what can we pull out. The other thing to look at with this pie chart is the size of the pie, right? So if we keep on consuming like crazy, you know, and think that we can have as many single-use things for everything, you know, never use another piece of china again, right? Our pie will be getting bigger, so we could still be getting more recycled, but we're creating more waste, right? And so really what we want to try to, the message we want to get across is like, how do we stop creating waste to begin with, you know? And so organics is one, and you want to talk about what may be happening soon in Carlisle?
I am going to say it will be happening soon in Carlisle, period, because this has been a long time coming. I'm really thrilled, and it's a long time coming conceptually, but now it can happen because we have businesses that are actually making money by collecting compost, food scraps, organics, I'm going to call it, from towns. And we are talking about starting with a company called Black Earth, and I think everybody who cares about this will be thrilled to know, even if you're a backyard composter as I am, that Black Earth will take a range of materials that we don't normally put into our backyard composting, like bones from meat, actual meat if you don't finish it, which would be a shame, but but that's acceptable, and it's really an amazing list of what is acceptable. So all that would be advertised. It's really a question of timing in terms of when we get this started. My personal wish is that we can have this up and ready to go early fall, late summer, early fall. So stay tuned for that. That would be a huge amount, and that would be for people who have a transfer station sticker. The drop-off bins would be located at the transfer station, so anyone who has a sticker could go in. And that would make a very large difference to our solid waste tonnage, which is what Julia's referring to with regard to waste reduction. That's really a major focus. So real quickly, how do we reduce the plastic, the rest of it? These are, and by the way, Julia and I did not coordinate, but these, I guess we both happen to like this particular kind of container. And I have a message for you, Carrie. I apologize if this is considered super recycling. What is interesting is that what was once, required extra thought is now like flossing. So these handy produce bags and others that are equivalent, not exactly the same style but different styles, are now available. They were selling them at Whole Foods, they sell them at Deborah's, they sell them at Kitchen Outfitters, local companies. This is what I take. I have a whole kit. I have my tote, and I have a huge amount of these bags. And if you shop locally, at the farmers markets in the summer, the stuff is not coming packaged, so that's another way to avoid that. So, there are ways, and maybe we need another session on the super recycler or how to become a super recycler.
Julia, this is an aha moment for me to see this pie chart.
Oh, great.
Because if you look at what's recyclable, and which we do a reasonable job but can be doing better, you look at composting, which we're about to embark on, you look at construction debris, which we're going to have some kind of a solution for that's different from now. What's left is 10% solid waste.
Yeah.
And if we are going to ever get to pay as you throw, and I'm thinking, well, 50% of it has to go, well, it's only 10%.
Right, right.
So that may be a lot more readily implementable and a lot lower cost price point to implement than we thought. This is, I think, everybody looking at this ought to focus on this chart. The green is construction. The blue at the top is paper. The blue at the bottom is organic and compostable. Everything pretty much except that little gray slice of pie is something that we will have a solution for, and the gray slice is what you would use for pay-as-you-throw. A
Well,
little piece.
the gray slice, well, there's,
At the top.
that's what you
At the
mean, yeah,
top.
because metal obviously.
Yeah,
should
metal would be
be
recyclable, yeah.
And so different towns are doing it. This is the whole state in 2016, right?
Right.
And so this changed from the last one in 2008 that was done, and that one showed 25% organics. But because we've gotten so much of the other stuff out, the organics piece has now become a bigger piece of the pie.
Is a positive.
Yeah, which is a positive. And then looking at it like now we have a solution where 10 years ago, we didn't have these compost companies picking up food waste and other organics, and now they're doing that.
Right.
So, and when you do get it implemented, I have them picking it up at my house, and basically I only throw out packaging is what I'm down to. I shouldn't say that, and the carton here, but very few things, because it's all diverted elsewhere.
Well, this really makes sense to me. And everybody looking at it, I think it will make sense to you, too, in terms of where we're headed and how we can get there.
Yes, yeah.
Can I just mention one more item? So I'm on a personal campaign to have a plastic-free life. There are websites that we will put up on our recycling website for people who want to go that direction as well. But a simple little thing like these Swedish dishcloths. I don't know how many people know about these, but these are fantastic. They come in a variety of designs. I like bees, so we should all love bees. But these little things, they're made 70% cellulose, 30% cotton. They are compostable when you are done with them. They absorb 13 times their weight. Oh, no, they absorb 18 times their weight in moisture. They are streak-free when you use them on your counters or wherever in the kitchen, multitude of uses. And what's the other thing? They replace about 13 rolls of paper towels. The use of these things.
They're washable?
They are washable. You throw them into your washing machine or the top of your dishwasher. They're a great little thing for folks who want to think about paper use.
Right,
And reduce that as well.
right. So,
Voila.
yeah.
That's it.
Okay, thank you so much, both of
yeah.
you. This has been wonderful.
Oh, great, great.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Abba, can you turn the lights back on, please? And we'll just quickly talk about what's coming with the COA. So thank you again. This was very informative, and we'll have to make sure that the website gets advertised very heavily. And if you have some links, Lana, for some of the products that you'd like people to consider using, then send us those and we'll get those out as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Angela, the newsletter is better and better every time I read it.
Well, we have to thank Linda Cavello-Murphy, who does our newsletter for us. She does a wonderful job getting all of our events somehow in that few pages that we
The number of
have.
advertisers is growing, too. They're getting the word.
That's good, because we would like to see that the people that support the COA and make it possible for us to do our newsletter, we don't have to pay for the printing of it because of our advertisers. So if you're out there and you want to get the news to our seniors, every senior in town gets a hard copy newsletter unless they've requested to only get the online version. And if you want to get our weekly email list, which we'll make sure has all the information that Lana and Julia gave us today, then just give us a call and we'll put you on that list with your email. But I just want to quickly talk about the events that we have coming and then have Jace tell us a little bit about what the Friends are doing. So we have our Chelmsford Crossing Lunch in June, and Jay and Carolyn Luby are going to do a presentation on South Africa after the lunch. And the COA lunch is going to be on June 20th, and following that, we're going to have a storyteller and a comedian, David Shikes, as our event. We're going to be getting together with the rec department this summer, and one of the things we're going to be doing is a walk across the solar system. So Steve Golson, who is an astronomer, is going to walk with us and explain both to the seniors and to the rec department kids what we can see even during the day. And then we're going to walk to Kimball's and all enjoy an ice cream. On July 15th, we're going to do our patio potluck barbecue right here in Town Hall, right here in the Clark Room and out on the bench. So we hope that everybody will join us, and the fire department and the police department will be coming. So we will have our coffee on June 6th at Village Court, and Jace is going to be our hostess along with Joanne Forsberg. We're going to have a women's breakfast later this month on May 29th with Abba, who's helping us technically today, and Carolyn Shohut will be hosting. We'll have our last men breakfast for this year and start up again September on June 13th, and we hope maybe you'll come to one now. And we have senior moments that will be on June 10th and 24th, and on the 24th, Bridges will also be there with taking blood pressure. So we'll have our social hour at Benfield on June 10th, and we are very lucky. One of our volunteers, Elizabeth Borjowski, does Reiki for us, and she does it as a free service, and she does 8 treatments a month. And so if you want to go, you just sign up on our list and you go for Benfield. And people that are doing it said that it's helping them relax. And for some people, it can even help with some of their pain. We also have a meditation group which meets every Monday at 1 p.m. at Benfield Farms, and they not only meet when there is normally a work day, but they even meet on holidays. They're so dedicated. So if you want to join, just give us a call. We have one more community conversation in May, and it's on alternative medicine dietary supplements. Are they really safe? And that's going to be May 28th at 1:30 at the Gleason Public Library. If anybody wants to go, they just have to call the COA at 978-371-2895, and we'll sign them up. But before we go on with more events, let's have Jace tell us what's going on with our Friends group.
Well, good morning, and thanks to everybody that has contributed to the Friends. The money goes totally to support the COA activities, and it's never too late to continue to donate if you would like to give. It's Box 38, Carlisle, Massachusetts, Friends of the COA. I think the most exciting thing to tell you about is our annual meeting, which is coming up on June 9th. It will be from 3 to 5 p.m. at St. Irene's Church, East Street in Carlisle. And our guest speaker is Alex Chen. The topic is Seeing Music. His projects have been featured by the New York Times, the BBC, Wired Magazine, and more, and are being used in music classrooms all around the world. He is a resident of Carlisle, and he is the creative director at Google, where he does work that combines his background in music, design, and coding. In his talk, he will share interactive projects that let you visualize and create music and explore the underlying math and science behind music. So we hope you all will come. We will have refreshments, and we will have a music interlude by the Second Wind Quartet, of which Carrie is a rock We also want to remind you to look at the newsletter for all the events that are sponsored for the COA, the exercise classes, the Zumba classes, the Thursday town meetings in the Clark Room for fitness and cardio boost. And also, if you need help with fuel assistance or other things that go on in the town, you can contact Angie. She is a wealth of knowledge for us. And she's talked about the women's breakfast coming up and the coffees that we sponsor.
Thank you, Jace. We are very lucky that when we have a crisis and we have somebody in need of something in particular, that we have the funds through the Friends Grant that allows us to help people. And so we can't thank the Friends enough, because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without their support. So thank you very much. And I'm just going to quickly list a few other things. We do have exercise class every day of the week. So on Mondays, you can do tap dancing at FRS. Tuesday, you can do Zumba and Tai Chi at St. Irene's. Wednesday, you can do yoga at Benfield or line dancing at St. Irene's. As Jay said, Thursday, right here in this room, we do fitness and cardio. And Fridays, we have Sama, which is for your flexibility and for your core strength, and that uses martial arts moves. And we have blood pressure at our Chelmsford Crossing lunch, at our COA lunch, at our Senior Moments on the 4th Monday of the month, and also at our monthly lunch. They will also be there for the women's breakfast this month as well. The next podiatry appointments clinic is the beginning of July. You can do haircuts, which is also right here in Town Hall. We have 2 wonderful hairdressers that come in and make it easy for men and women to get their hair cut at a reduced price every 6 weeks. And we have the outside walking group that meets at Center Park on 9:30 on Thursdays, every Thursday that the weather allows. And until school gets over, you can do walking at the school gym. So if you live alone, don't forget, we do have an Are You OK system where you can register with us or the police, and they will call you every day just to make sure that you're okay. You don't have to talk to anybody. You just have to answer the phone and press a button, and then it's all set till the next day. But we don't want people who live alone who might fall not being found. So if you do live alone, please give us a call. We'll get you signed up. It's all free. So with no further ado, Carrie, I'll turn it over to you. I think we're running out of time.
I think we are, Angela, unfortunately. Lona, thank you so much for your persistence in continuing to do this voluntarily for years now, and making a real dent in the situation. And Julia, so nice to meet you, and thanks for being with us and for educating us further on what we can be doing. That's a wrap on Wednesday, May the 15th. Everybody, see you next month.
Thank you so much, Carrie.